Hello, and welcome to another episode of Actor Talk. In this week's episode, I'm going to be talking about how to work with a director, so keep watching. When working on a film or a play, you're going to be working very closely with the director. The director is basically the person who runs the entire production and is the creative force behind everything that goes on. He has a specific vision for the story, and he works closely with all the heads of the different departments and the actors in order to bring that vision to life on the stage or screen. While it may seem pretty simple and easy to work with a director, oftentimes it can be quite challenging. So here are some tips on how to make your interactions with the director a lot smoother. The first thing is pre-production. When you get cast in a film or a play, there's this period of time before opening night or the shoot days called pre-production. And this is where you as the actor are working on building the character, memorizing your lines, doing research, and everything else that goes into it. It is also the perfect time to talk with your director and find out what they're thinking for your character, what they're thinking for the story, so that way you can be sure you're on the same page with them. So get together with the director either in person, if possible, or virtually over the internet in order to talk about your character. Find out what the director's vision is for your character, and discuss that with him and give him your ideas as well as what you've come up with in your preparation work. Making sure you're on the same page with the director and talking about these different things and fleshing them out before you get to set is really important. The last thing you want to be doing is arguing or discussing things, differences of opinion on the character with the director on set in front of the other cast and crew. So you as an actor, as an artist, are bringing yourself to the role. You will have your own specific ideas about the character and how he should be played. And so pre-production is the time to talk with the director about that, so that way you can come to an agreement about that. This is also the perfect time to talk to the director about any special needs or requests that you have when it comes to the role. For example, if you have some really emotional scenes in the movie and you'd rather have the set as empty as possible of people, the minimum number of people required to shoot the scene, then let the director know that ahead of time, so that way when you go on set and you get to that really emotional scene, the director already knows, okay, he doesn't want 30 people on set for this, he wants just a skeleton crew, so we're going to make an announcement to make sure everyone knows the only people going to be on set for this scene are the actors that are in the scene and the necessary crew to actually shoot the scene. Other examples would be like if you're the kind of actor who likes to stay in the headspace of the character, of the scene the entire time, then you can let the director know that so he knows to let the crew know not to bother you when you're actually on set filming. Oftentimes, crew members will talk with you, or they'll be giving you instructions or asking you questions or things like that, which they have to do, but they will know you're trying to stay in character, as it were. I don't like that term, but just for sake of understanding, I'll keep using that term. They'll understand that you like to stay in character for the scene the entire time, so they will go about asking you important questions or giving you instruction in a way that doesn't disrupt you, basically. So pre-production meeting with the director can be super helpful and make things go a lot smoother when you're actually on set. Next thing is actual production. It's the actual performing of the scenes on set. If you've already talked to the director ahead of time during pre-production about your character and the needs that you have, you'll be well on your way and should be ready to go. Now it comes down to taking direction. Interestingly enough, one of the things I have seen personally on so many sets is actors struggling to understand what the director is trying to get you to do. Some things may seem rather simple, such as the director saying, okay, now when I call action, you're going to take 3 steps forward onto your mark, you're going to look at the person, and then after a second, you're going to say the line. That may be rather simple sounding, but oftentimes actors struggle with even that. Something that may be even more difficult for actors is when the director says something like, in this scene, you are filled with rage, so I need to see intense anger in your eyes. So how in the world do you translate that direction into something that you can actually do without coming across as cheesy or overacting or indicating? That can seem rather difficult because each actor is different, each actor's brain processes information differently, and so the direction may not seem to make sense, and the director may not know how else to word it in order to help you. Because oftentimes directors are not actors, so they don't know how to put it into words that you would understand. And just a quick tip for directors, I highly recommend you study and get a good understanding of different acting methods, so that way if you're working with a Meisner trained actor, for example, you understand what their techniques are going to be for preparation, so that way you can talk to them in terms that they understand. When it comes to emotional preparation, you can tell them the emotion you want from them, and you can tell them in a way that's in line with the Meisner method, so now they understand what you're talking about more easily. So just a tip for directors there. So going back to what I was talking about before, quite often the problem is that directors are giving you a results-driven direction. In other words, they're telling you what they want to see on the film. But oftentimes what actors need is a process-driven direction, which basically means that it's telling you how to get to where you need to be. Or in telling you what they want, they tell you also how they are thinking you should get to that place. So what ends up happening is the actor has to take the direction, they have to process what's being said, understand what the director's asking, and then change it around in a way that it makes sense to them to be able to make it actionable. While I do think that being able to take direction is a skill that can be learned by actors, I also think it is one of those things that a lot of actors find to be an innate skill that they already possess. I'm one of those people that is able to take the direction that I'm given and understand what's being asked and translate that into something that I can actually do on the first try, more or less. And I think it's a skill that anyone can learn. It just takes time. One thing that I want to touch on real quickly along with that is that if you have trouble taking direction from an actor, one thing that I do want to touch on else, one other thing I want to touch on is having an on-set acting coach. Having an on-set acting coach can be so helpful for actors, especially if you're rather new to film acting. On-set acting coaches, like myself, are good at interpreting what a director wants, then taking the actor aside and putting it into words that they understand, because the on-set acting coach has more time to actually sit down with the actor and go through with them what the director is asking, whereas the director is working with the cinematographer, working with other heads of department about things, and even though the actors are really important to the director and the director must talk with them, he can't babysit and sit there for a long time explaining things to you. So having an on-set acting coach is someone who is dedicated to you or other actors and working with them on what they need to do. So an on-set acting coach will stand there with you when the director is talking to you, and then will take you aside, work with you on what the direction is, making sure you know how to get there. And I'm not saying this like the actor is totally clueless. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is an on-set acting coach can help you if the direction is not making sense, or if they're giving you an emotional change, they can help you figure out how to get to the point where you are experiencing that emotion without wasting a lot of time and a lot of frustration on your part. So let's say that I'm the on-set acting coach for you, and the director says, in this scene, when I call action, you're going to walk on and you need to be full of rage because in the previous scene, you just found out that your business partner is embezzling the company out of millions and you're about to confront him. And then the director walks off to work with with the cinematographer or whoever to get the shot figured out. I will take you aside and say, okay, so you need to be full of rage. Can you think of anything in your life where if this were to happen to you or happen with this person, you would be full of rage? And we would work through the process and figure out what it is that if it were to happen to you would fill you full of rage, and then I would walk you through the preparation so that way you can actually be full of rage before you walk into the scene. And then if we need to tweak things from take to take, we'll do that. But otherwise you should be really good to go, and it should just be a matter of however many takes the director wants, but you'll be in the place you need to be in. So like I said, having an on-set acting coach can be super helpful. Again, if you are brand new to acting on film, that can be super helpful. Even if you're a pro at acting on film or acting in general, having an on-set acting coach can kind of help you just interpret what the director's trying to get from you, so that way there's less frustration on your part. Ultimately, you'll want to get to the point where you can understand what the director is asking of you and be able to translate that into something that you can actually do. When you get the hang of that, working with the director will go a lot smoother, and you'll be able to translate that into working with any director, being able to figure out what their directing style is and be able to use that to help you give a better performance. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found it super helpful. If you have any questions, of course, please be sure to comment below with your questions, and I'll be glad to answer you. Again, hit the like button, subscribe, and click the bell so that way you can be notified when new videos go out. Thanks again, and as always, keep living truthfully.